everyone. Thank you for having me tonight. That was a great story. Thanks for kicking things off on an awesome note. I think that it's worth noting that my story may be slightly different than some of the other local businesses and people speaking on behalf of those businesses today. As a professional skateboarder, I'm technically an independent contractor who gets to represent my sponsors and the brands who sponsor me. So just want to clarify for those who might not know exactly what my role with Santa Cruz is. I also feel like there's a lot of details to my story of almost 20 years here locally in the area skateboarding, and therefore I have some notes in case I need to touch base and remember all those details. So again, I'll start with introducing myself. My name is Emmanuel Guzman. I am 37 years old and have been skateboarding professionally for Santa Cruz Skateboards for 18 of those years, which my wife and I were just chuckling about the other night is officially half my life. I'm also really proud and grateful to say that I was born in Santa Cruz and am not only lucky enough to say that, but also the first generation in my family who was born here. When my family moved here all those years ago, one of the attractive and appealing sort of things about Santa Cruz to them was the artistic and creative and progressive sort of free-thinking community that existed then and, in my opinion, still does today. It was also the first place that any of them or myself had seen skateboarding. So I started skateboarding in 1993, and for anybody who had been around back then and knew of skateboarding, the early 90s are considered to be sort of the years that skateboarding died. It had really dropped off in popularity, basically globally, and lots of brands and businesses suffered as a result. That was not entirely the case here in Santa Cruz, however. I would say in part because people here have a very profound love and passion for skateboard and surf culture, but also in part because of local businesses who were able to persevere through those hardships and downfalls and basically provide the community that supported them with the services and met their demands. Two of the brands that I'm sort of here to speak on behalf of, who are both iconic companies and brands in the area and have been around for many, many years. Santa Cruz Skateboards being the first and foremost. Santa Cruz started in 1973. And secondly, Bill's Wheel Skate Shop, which started shortly thereafter in 1977. I was a pretty ambitious kid, which I've learned a lot of young people in this community are, as far as what to do with that ambition. It's sometimes difficult. It's hard to navigate that energy and those desires. But for me, at 13, I decided to pursue what I knew in my heart would be the rest of my life in skateboarding. And I went ahead and sought after a sponsorship through Bill's Wheels. Now, it wasn't every kid that got the opportunity to be presented with, what you would call trying out for Bill's Wheels. So I remember even at that moment in time having to lightly harass Bill and his staff to be given an opportunity to present my skills and see if I had what it takes to make the team. After, some subtle harassment, I finally got that opportunity to try out in person for Bill and his management at a demo at a local elementary school, SoCal Elementary. That was the moment when Bill had basically told me himself that I was on the team and was officially sponsored for the first time in my life.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted to get sponsored by Bill, because one of the things that you have as an opportunity to do in my position is choose who you want to represent. And my mom had told me a story years before getting to the point of even approaching Bill for sponsorship about how she'd had an interaction where she'd basically gone to Bill's to buy me a pair of shoes and had very lightheartedly kind of mentioned to Bill that, man, shopping for 4 kids at this age is expensive, especially when 2 of them are avid skateboarders. And Bill's response to my mom, not knowing her history or background, or how avid we actually skateboarded, his response was to give him what she could afford in that moment in time and to basically tell me that I could go and pick any pair of shoes in the shop that I wanted, no matter the price. Now, to this day, I find it very hard to mention or relate to other businesses in the area who have offered and shown such generosity to their community. And even at a young age, I knew that that was the type of character and business that I wanted to be associated with. And that was basically the beginning of the rest of my life. Through Bill's Wheels, I was mentored in many ways by Bill himself and by his management. I was mentored on the nuances of sponsorship, of what a professional skateboarding career might look like. I was forewarned about the dangers and the risks involved, both physically and with my social setting and circle. And one of the things that I was mentored in was how to grow and how to better my career that they could see was something I was passionate about. One of the ways then, and I like to think now, of getting that recognition by bigger brands was by putting out a Sponsor Me video. It just so happened that my mom knew the only person in town who to me is still very random, but she had the necessary equipment to edit down hours of homemade VHS tapes onto a 3-minute master copy Sponsor Me video, which after spending tens and tens of dollars to hire this woman to make, I was then faced with the tough decision of who to send this precious tape to first. That's when Santa Cruz came into the picture. I had a friend, Keith, who was working shrink wrapping skateboards for NHS at the time. He had also been kicked out of his home and was living with my family for the several weeks when all this took place. Keith had told me that he could get this Sponsor Me tape to the acting team manager at the time, who not only didn't I believe, but I was in absolute awe when I received that phone call later that day telling me that he and several other people at Santa Cruz had watched my video and liked it and wanted to start giving me skateboards effective immediately. Now to somebody that's, I'll say, about 14 years old, getting that news and being told I could start getting skateboards, it was surreal and I didn't know how to process it. So the next thing I knew, I was practically hovering my way to NHS, digging through the warehouse and picking out a stack of skateboards without any consent and permission. I figured that I was sponsored, now this is how it worked. As I was leaving with a stack full of skateboards, I was quickly reprimanded and asked who I was and what I was doing with all those boards, in which case I was able to explain, I skateboard for Santa Cruz now, I'm sponsored. You've never heard of me, but here I am. Shortly after getting sponsored by Santa Cruz, they saw that I was serious and that I was very consistently persistent with being present and accountable with everything they had told me were my duties as a sponsored skateboarder up until then. This led to getting to go on my first international trip to Vancouver, British Columbia, with Holly, who is standing back here tonight. And this was in, I believe, 2001. Since then, the amount of things that Santa Cruz and Bill's Wheels have gone on to help further my career and to help me accomplish my dream and my goals are too many to mention tonight. But some of the accolades that I can be proud to mention that they have had a complete hand in would be basically through them and with their support, I have been able to not only represent their brands, but be an ambassador of the area of Santa Cruz and my community. I have traveled to over 30 countries to skateboard, some of which I have been to multiple times, and some of which you would not believe location-wise, just the remote randomness of some of these countries where skateboarding exists. I've been to 49 of the 50 states here within the US skateboarding. I have not only designed a couple of my own skateboards with Santa Cruz, but have had over 40 pro model skateboards with them that have been sold and are recognized worldwide.
Nice.
I have also filmed several video parts, which for those that don't know, the process of filming a video part is very grueling, very intensive. I have filmed 11 video parts, 4 of which have been for Santa Cruz Skateboards specifically. I have won contests and I have been given awards for various things, but like I said, I can mention so many of the things that I've been able to do and have been able to do through my sponsors and through their support. But I've mentioned it a couple of times now that this is really the first opportunity I've had to speak publicly on this platform and just honor and thank my sponsors for everything they've done. Anybody who has worked in the industry or has followed skateboarding is probably familiar with my name or familiar with some of the things I've done in skateboarding, but I never get the chance to give credit to the people that have made that all possible. I'd like to say thanks to Bill's Wheels for continually providing an environment where kids in this community can not only dream, but have those dreams supported. I would like to thank Santa Cruz Skateboards for validating somebody like my dreams and also facilitating everything that it has required to make my dream not only a reality, but to make this a successful career as a pro skateboarder. I would definitely say that because of these sponsors, I've been able to meet and speak to thousands and thousands of other skateboarders to inspire and encourage younger generations to pursue their dreams locally and abroad. And by giving me a chance to live my dream and to kind of help construct this platform to succeed, they've instilled and ensured hope locally and also abroad. And through their success, they've allowed generations of young skateboarders and businesses to believe in their own potential. We should all feel proud to have these pillars of industry call Santa Cruz home. And I'd like to thank them and thank all of you for having me tonight.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Wait a minute. You told me you were the president of Santa Cruz Skateboards. No, I love that. I love that story because, for one thing, as a kid, as a skater, when I was younger, to be sponsored, that's amazing. But I love that you actually sent out videos. You worked it. So I love that story, and that's, definitely as an entrepreneur and as an independent contractor, that's a business owner. That's like the new business owner of our century. So great job. Thank you so much. Okay.